Hey guys, today I'm showing you a gel pedicure from start to finish, and I'm using our new product, our Manicure French Exit, and our flashing lights kit. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to spray her feet with a little Sanitation. My hands with a little Sanitation, rub it in. I prefer a spray, it's much easier. Okay, from here, I like to keep all my implements underneath a towel. So I'm going to always start with my magic wand. This is an artificial enhancement, so you do need to prep your cuticles and her toenails exactly how you would for a gel mani on the fingers. So if you notice, I use both sides of my magic wand. The reason being, this shows you really where you have protein growth. Some toes have more. Okay, pinkies usually have the most and the big toes usually have the most. That's what I find. At this point, I'll put her foot in this position. And I will start removing it with a circular motion. So if you notice, I use all zones of my bit. There's zone 1, 2, and 3, and she has zones 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3 on her toe. I connect the zones and it really comes off very easy. Once you see the spot with no color, do not touch it with this bit. So get off as much as you can. If there's a little bit left, do not worry. There's another bit I'm going to use that will remove the remainder. This side's always the hardest to get off. So I am going to go through all the toenails, remove it all with my safety bit. Again, I cannot stress enough, if the color is gone, do not touch that toenail with this bit. This is a carbide bit. It's not meant to prep the natural nail or actually touch the natural nail. Little circular motion. Then a light touch. Again, I am not putting any pressure. All I'm doing, you can see her base coat right there. I'm gonna leave it because my next bit will take it off. All I'm doing is making contact with her toenail and doing the little tickle motion or a circular motion. I tend to start with a circular and then go to a tickle once it's almost all off. Once you've removed everything you could get off with the safety bit, I'm going to my medium arbor band. So what I'm going to do here is come up the side, go around the cuticle, get as close as you can to the cuticle because you're prepping it exactly like you would a gel mani or an artificial enhancement. And then I do a little tickle motion to take off the rest of the color. See how it removed very nicely? And then come in and make sure you prep all the natural nail. On to the next. I usually work on getting off all the color first. Now I'll go around the cuticle area. And again, it's very comfortable right here. It does not hurt with your client's leg there. Okay, next one. Okay, a little tickle motion. Removes it all great. Then continue around the cuticle area. Now get as close as you can. Do not force it in the cuticle area because it will create heat. It'll burn them or you could cut them. So I'm going to use a series of different bits that help me a lot with my gel manis. And you can see there's a little white left on the pinky. Not a problem. Do not force it with this to try to go back. It's going to create heat. Okay. Now I'm going to go into my medium crosscut. This is actually the same grit as my arbor band. The only difference is it's a little thinner here. So I really like this one to get off any dry skin around here if she's dry. Sometimes they build up here, very common. So I use this before I turn it on. I'll show you because actually her feet are really nice. They're really not dry. Maybe I could use a tad bit here, but I would come down here, take off a lot of dry skin, and then I would go in for my prep. But you could even, some people have really hard skin here. I'll take this and kind of tickle it through. to kind of buff it out. So I do everything with my e-file to bring down any dry spots she has. This is my favorite to do it with. Again, it is a medium cross-cut diamond bit. So I'm going to use this on the same speed, 6, 7, or 8,000 RPMs. No faster or no slower than that. Not needed. Again, right here, what I'm going to do is I'm not putting pressure. I'm just making contact and bringing it down. And see how you could see a little bit of dry skin come off? Right here, it's a tad bit dry, but not much. So I'm just going to tag it. The idea is for your client to walk out as if they had a full water pedicure. So come here. Then what I'm going to do is go all the way back, and you'll see what dust still comes up. This is her cuticle still. So it's much easier to get in there with this one as opposed to your arbor band. Okay. Again, I'm not putting any pressure. All I'm doing is guiding. If you feel the need to put pressure, you need a new bit. That means that this isn't doing the job that it's supposed to. The grit has ran down and you need a new one. So just contact, like very soft, very soft. My next bit I'm going to use is our square cuticle bit. So nice. It's even going to get in further than the other. You can see how tiny it is. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the process here. Now watch, dust will still come off again because, well, it's not really dust, it's her cuticle and her skin, because this is going to get in a little better. See how it's coming up here? So you could see the white come up. So go straight up against her cuticle with no pressure, just contact. This is so satisfying. It does not hurt them, but you could see how good your gel mani is going to come out. You're giving it a perfect prep. Okay, just taking your time. If you see my angles, it's always parallel on the toe, on the toenail. If it looks like I'm going up here, it's still parallel on the side. Now, if I was going to give her a water pedicure after this, and she's getting gel toes, I would do what I'm doing first. I would clean all her cuticles. It kind of gives you a head start when you give her a pedicure. It's pretty much everything's taken care of. And it ensures that their gel will stay on very well. Let's say you upsell them. If you upsell them, you've already given them a pedicure and talked them into gel. Just make sure you use swipe to change the pH balance so their gel manicure will stick very well. Okay, from here you could either use toenail clippers or nippers. I prefer nippers, they're easier for me to control. So I trim their nails at this point. It's just my preference, both are correct. And this one's not very long, so I'm gonna file it. I'm going to just go with the shape of her toenails. You never want to clip here and not clip really clean because you could create an ingrown toenail. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of round off just a tad bit to soften it up. Getting their shape straight. Go ahead and remove anything if there's any sock or anything under there. Just a little bit. After you cut them, sometimes you'll notice your client's toes in some spots are very dry. What I would do is just take my little square bit and go over the little dry spots. It'll buff them all out, so when you use your rose oil after, or oil of choice, they'll look very nice. And it's very common for it to be dry after you cut them. It's just an extra little attention to detail. I decided I'm gonna use one more bit. It's the little ball bit. It's probably one of my favorite too. I say that about most of them because I need them all. But this one here is designed really to not put pressure at all. You just make contact because you kind of put it on top of the cuticle a little here, and it kind of buffs it out and makes it very, very nice, better than trimming the cuticle. Especially she doesn't have a lot. So all this is gonna do is just make it look very manicured. See how I'm just making contact? I mean, so light, you could see the dust that came up. This is just buffing it all out, so the polish will go on very nice, the gel polish, and it looks like they just got a pedicure. And actually they are, it's just considered a dry pedicure. Right here, you could get a little more dryness with this as well. So it's crazy and interesting that you could see how much is still coming off. I personally prefer a pedicure like this than to have my feet scrubbed after. I feel like the gel mani comes out more flawless looking. It looks a lot better and it lasts longer. From here, I'm going to dust them off. Make sure they're all the same shape. There's a little bit right here I could file. Boom. So pay attention to your shape of the nail, not necessarily if there's more white on one side than the other. I feel like that's where people make a mistake when trimming toenails, is they think they need to get all the white off. You have to pay attention, they all grow different. You wanna make sure they're all uniform as they sit like this. So sometimes, like her big toe, you could see she has a little more white here than here. So that's just a quick tip of how to keep them straight. If I made this match the white here, her toe would go down more. It wouldn't be an even square. So now I'm going to go into swipe. This is going to change my pH balance. I always dust them first, then go into my swipe and I drag it towards me the same way I would do my gel mani. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm just taking a tissue or a paper towel or toe separators of choice. Twist it pretty tight so it fits comfortable. All you need this for is to kind of separate the toes so they're not going to be touching each other. So I'll come in right here and here, much more comfortable. Weave it inside and out. So if you choose to separate like this, I always cut off the bottom part and right here so it doesn't get in the way, and it wears very nice under the light. So now I'm going to use Protein Bond. Protein Bond is always applied on the entire toenail. If you want, you could put it on the tip if you were going to soak it off. However, I am not going to soak off because I am going to use flashing lights, which is basically a rhinestone effect. So I want it to really anchor on. Okay, go over a little. So I want to give you two choices of what you would like to use. There's a Synergy base, which is our hard gel collection. It's what you start with to build gel. Now this is our soft gel manicure base. You have an option. Now, if it's just one color, I would go with probably base here, especially if they have like thinner toenails. This is a little thicker, so I'll add some thickness. When I add like mylar or embellishments, I want it more of a really good hold. So I'm gonna go with base. It's a little thinner base coat, and I'm gonna be able, since I'm putting more product on, it's gonna keep it really tight for me. So both are correct, but just remember, if you use Synergy base, you cannot soak it off. I'm gonna come in with my base, and you'll find that it goes on very, very easy. So I start on the free edge, and then I work my way up to the cuticle. Do not start at the cuticle with toes because it'll kind of protrude out and you'll have all this bulk you're trying to work down, and chances are you'll have a little bit of a thicker cuticle. You will not notice it until you start to polish. So it's a little trick I do that helps me keep my cuticle area very tight. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit more. Again, you could use manicure base or Synergy base, whatever you prefer. I wanna keep it very thin. I tend to use Synergy base for all of them, pretty much just because I like how it adheres and keeps it very thin. Then your client is going to go into the light for 30 seconds and you're going to work on the other foot. So now I'm going to start my gel polish surface, and I'm going to use French exit and then work my way back. This helps you keep a very tight polish. If you notice, when I get to the cuticle, I put a little pressure and I fray my brush a little. This just keeps it really tight and straight. Now your first coat, don't worry about the coverage. Usually it covers very well, but I don't worry about getting it all in one coat. Go ahead and follow through with these. If I feel I have too much on one brush, I'll put it, or too much for the toenail, I will put it on the next toe. It's kind of a speed technique. I'm not having to dip all the time into my gel polish bottle. And because the toenails are so tiny, you actually could get away with almost not dipping in again with the baby toes. Not all the time, but in this case, I'm able to. Make sure I get her size. My left side's always my blind spot, so I always go back and make sure I got pretty close. Okay, now she's going to go under the light for 30 seconds while I do the other foot. Okay, once she comes out, I'm going to put my second coat. You'll find on some people's toenails, it's kind of hard to get the brush all the way in the corner. So let me show you a little trick I do. I put a little polish on my tile. I pick what brush of choice. It's very small, so I'm going to pick the micro detailer, and I come in and I get it down as close as I can and as tight as I can. And that's just a little fine tuning. That really is going to set you apart because the polish job is going to look beautiful. So I'll go ahead and follow through with the rest of them. Again, I feel like if you're right-handed, your left side, you tend to leave some out. If you're left-handed, your right side, you have to detail usually. Now I'm going to take my tile again and my brush. And again, my left side, that's my weak side. Bring it all the way to the side. I love this micro detailer because you're able to just get really tight into your corners. Now this gel brush I use just for cleanup. If I get some on her skin, I don't use it on my gels because I do dip this and swipe and it tends to dry out a little. So I have one just for my gel manis. Okay, go under the light for 30 seconds. Okay, so this is the flashing lights kit that I'm going to use. I think what I'm going to use is some of the bright colors right here. You could use any you would like, but I'm going to show you how to use them. I'm really attracted to these with French exit color. So what I'm going to adhere them to is gloss. There's many different ones you could adhere it to. You could use Clear Sculptor, you could use base. The reason why I'm picking gloss is it is a top coat, so once I put my stones on, then I could cure it and I don't have to add a top coat from then. And make sure you put a good amount, like if you're top coating it and not going to top coat it again. So you're gonna get it all over everywhere. And it is a thicker top coat, so it's going to hold on amazing to the embellishments. Doesn't matter how big or small you're going to use. Get it back close to the cuticle, but not touching the cuticle, okay? So this is the second size from the smallest. The other one was the third from the smallest. I'm gonna go a little smaller now that I'm going to the side here. This is pretty cute. What she'll do is she'll go under the light and I'll work on her other big toe. Okay, so we think this is adorable. It's very cute. I think it's cute. You could do it on the tip as well, but what I like about putting them back here is our skin and stuff comes up a little higher in your shoe, so this protects it. When you're here, they tend to want to wear off eventually. Back here, it's adorable, it's comfortable in your shoe, so use your imagination. It also would be cute as a French, whatever you would think, but I'm gonna leave it this way. I'm totally happy with it. I'm going to finish with the same top coat. I'm using gloss, just so it all has the same thickness and shine. if you see streaks when using gloss, remember it's going to self-level in a couple seconds. So if you look close, you may see streaks as I polish it. Don't keep going for it. Break away and see how it self-levels pretty. I could tell I need a little more right here. Perfect. Let's go to the pinky toe. Now the pinky toe takes a beating in all toes. She has a beautiful pinky toe. Half of my clients don't even have a pinky toe, or it's like that big and you're like, boop, and you're done. So she has great toenails. So now she's curing her toes for 1 full minute. So I am going to wipe off her sticky residue with Swipe. The reason why I'm using Swipe is I used a Synergy gel top coat. See how they're stuck on there? I love it. Gloss is my favorite to put my stones in because then I don't have to use a little detail brush. I see people do this all the time to kind of get my top coat around it, and it never really comes out perfect. It looks a little bulky after that. Once I'm done here, I take off her separators. This is exactly what I do. And I go over her free edge with my 150. This just makes it look flawless. So I'm gonna come in and just shape them all up. It makes your pedicure look flawless. There we go. Now I'm going into rose oil, my favorite. I usually put a little lotion on them. I don't get really into the massage. It's up to you. What I do is I take some off and I just condition her feet so they look nice, her heels. I don't ever put it down here because sometimes they slip on their shoes. So I just do the heel and on top so the whole entire foot looks conditioned. Rub this all in. Then I get one more wipe to wipe off all the excess on top. And she's done.